Hi, I'm Sheridan Webb from the Training Designers Club, which is the place to go for practical L&D support. And today I want to answer a question that didn't come up in one of our drop-ins. I saw it on LinkedIn, but I have heard it very many times, so I thought I would address it. And the question is this: how do I avoid that post-lunch slump when I'm running a one-day training course? Well, firstly, if you're following accelerated learning principles, there shouldn't be a post-lunch slump because we're keeping people engaged and active in the learning throughout. So if you follow Master, which is something I've talked about before and you can find out more about on the website, that slump should not be a problem. However, if people have got up very early to attend your training session, or there are factors that may result in that little dip of energy, here are 9 other tips that can help you avoid that problem. The first is to use a variety of exercises throughout the day. Do not put all your theory into the morning and then all of your exercises into the afternoon. That's just not how our brains work. Now, with some topics such as recruitment or coaching, you may want to do your bring it all together exercise in the afternoon, but you should be including lots of shorter, quicker activities throughout the whole day because that helps the learning to stick, and it also helps people to really understand what it is they are going to try and do. We can't expect them to do nothing and then bring all of these things into play all at the same time at the end. Let them practice them individually and then bring it all together. Give them a preview of the afternoon. So when you're breaking for lunch, particularly if you think that maybe the energy is dropping, tell them, and this afternoon we're going to do this and this. And how is that going to help you in your current challenges? So use it a little bit like a trailer, but it also helps them to put themselves in the mindset of how this training is going to help them. So what's in it for me, which is going to pique their interest for the afternoon. Run an active exercise after lunch, an active review exercise. So we all know how quickly we forget things. So get people engaged in a review activity straight after lunch that's reinforcing everything that you've already covered, which will then allow you to lead very nicely into the content for the afternoon. You can use gamification techniques throughout the whole session. Some simple things such as collecting points, setting challenges, or even marking progress on a journey will all help to keep that engagement up. Now, I'm not an expert on gamification, but my good friend Terry Pierce from Untold Play certainly is. So if you want to learn more about that, I suggest you go and check out his website. Run an energizer that relates to the topic that's being covered. Now, I'm not a big fan of doing frivolous activities or just doing exercises for the sake of exercises. But if we can use a good energizer that is linked to the topic in some way, then I think that's a good use of 10 to 15 minutes. And there are loads of examples of energizers in the members area for the VIP members of the Training Designers Club. But a Google search should also bring up quite a lot of choice if you're searching for something to do there. Another good tip is to make sure that you're facilitating rather than presenting. If you are just talking at people, showing them slides, it's very easy to drop off. We've all been there. Our attention just wanders. If you facilitate and draw the content from the group, they are not going to be able to drift off because they're going to have to be actively engaged. If you're using their experience, their stories, their knowledge to actually pull that whole session together and then maybe just summarize it with something that you prepared earlier, that's going to be a much better way to keep energy high and everybody involved. Another simple tip, if you are struggling a little bit, is to have a change of scenery. It's not always possible, I grant you, but to maybe take one of the exercises outside or to do it in a different environment really shakes everybody up. If this isn't possible, just make sure that you've got natural light in your room and keep it well ventilated. If the room is stuffy, if it's a little bit dark, naturally our bodies are going to feel really cozy and want to start relaxing down a little bit. So keep everybody fresh by thinking about the environment that you're working in. Run a question and answer session after lunch. It's another form of review, but rather than just saying, has anybody got any questions, say, ask me a question. Everybody, put a question on the board. If you were to ask one question relating to this morning, what would it be? So you could either get them to shout them out, or you can use post-it notes or flip charts, and then you can decide which ones you address and when. Maybe you could answer 2 or 3 then, and then maybe come back to the others throughout the rest of the afternoon. Or you could even get people to prioritise the questions, or get the delegates to answer those questions on your behalf. So make sure that you demand an interaction from them rather than just giving that option. And the final tip for avoiding that post-slump lunch is nothing to do with design, I have to say, but I think this does make it number 10 if we count the following accelerated learning principles as number 1, is don't overfeed them. If people have got up early to attend your session, if they are sitting down all day in a room that's perhaps just a little bit warm, and then you go and give them a great big lunch, you really are up against it. So yes, of course, we need to look after our delegates physically. We need to make sure they've had enough to eat. But back when I started training, one of the perks of the training course was to have a massive 3-course lunch. And some people even had wine. There's no learning going to be going on after that. So just a nice, healthy, mixed buffet with lots of fruit and veg is going to keep your delegates fresh for the afternoon, especially if you use all of those other ideas that I've just shared with you. So 10 things there to help you to avoid that post-lunch slump when you are designing and delivering a training session. And if you want more practical tips that are by practitioners for practitioners, please do come and take a look at the Training Designers Club. There's loads of resources there to help you, and of course we have our VIP community which is on hand every single day to help out with practical situations like this. Hope you found that useful, and I'll see you next time.